Welcome to Pennsylvania Farm Bureau News. Moving food from the farm to the supermarket, the processor, or the feed company is becoming more difficult and costly for farmers across Pennsylvania due to a deteriorating road and bridge system. Unfortunately, Pennsylvania ranks first in the nation in the number of structurally deficient bridges, prompting transportation officials to place weight restrictions on thousands of bridges across the state, including the small bridge behind me.
The average age of our 25,000 bridges, average age, is 51 years old. Now, we've built a lot of new bridges in the last years. What this is an aging process where the system's getting older. It's time that it needs to be replaced. And frankly, if we don't do it, the cost is just going to continue to go up. So it's been building for decades, but it's a combination of underfunding coupled with the age of the system and the fact that all these bridges are aging at the same time.
That's PennDOT Secretary Barry Shoke, who says his agency has been underfunded for years and that a substantial financial commitment is needed to resuscitate the state's transportation system.
From my perspective, we're a lot like a utility company, and our rates haven't been changed since 1996, 1997. So 16 years ago, the legislature changed the rates. When's the last time your water bill, sewer bill, electric bill, cell phone bill, telephone bill, any other utility, it changes every year. Why? There's a cost to maintain the system that provides you the service, and the same is true with us.
The Transportation Secretary says additional funding is needed to address the Commonwealth's infrastructure problem, which he refers to as a debt that needs to be paid.
Every year that we don't invest, the system gets older, and the cost to replace it, the cost to repair it, gets more expensive.
Shoke adds that all Pennsylvania motorists have felt the effects of funding shortfalls as road expansion projects to reduce congestion have been placed on hold, paving projects have been cut back, and other services have been reduced. Meanwhile, businesses are further impacted by the new restrictions placed on bridges, like the one he was standing in front of on Route 441 in Lancaster County, where the maximum weight of a single truck has been reduced to 29 tons, and the weight limit for a tractor-trailer has been trimmed to 33 tons.
It's going to affect emergency service providers, it's going to affect farm equipment, it's going to affect tractor-trailers. But the reality is what we're doing is, with the limited resources we have to start slowing down the aging process on some of these bridges.
Shoke says he's conscious of the ramifications of posting the bridges.
Government will charge you one way or another. We're either going to charge people to fix this problem, or we're not going to fix it, and then we charge you a different way. When we weight restrict bridges, farmers, other tractor trailers, they're going to have to go longer distances to deliver their product. That's a cost.
York County farmer Andy Flinchbaugh is one of those business owners who will incur higher costs, as he'll be required to find an alternative to using Route 441 to deliver corn to his client, because his single and combo trucks will both exceed the new weight restrictions.
The average miles to drive there is around 12 miles to the Wanger facility in Mount Joy. Our new route's going to take us close to 23 miles to have to get there. We're almost doubling the amount of miles, and very likely with the trip we're going to have to take, it's probably going to be a little more than twice the time that it takes.
Flinchbaugh, like many other farmers across Pennsylvania who transport goods over state roads and bridges, will have his bottom line significantly impacted due to higher fuel costs associated with the longer trips.
It typically costs us around 12 cents a bushel to deliver grain to market, as we were driving currently. And with looking at the mileage and the time that it's going to take, I expect that to double.
Meanwhile, added labor costs will also slice into Flinchbaugh's profit margin.
Doubling the amount of time it takes just to get to market doubles our labor costs as well, and there's no way around that. And those again are costs that we had not been incurring and had not expected to incur when we put this crop in the ground in the spring.
The additional time it takes to move the crops will cause other headaches during the busiest time of year on the farm.
When we have to move half of our crop at harvest, time is of the essence. So we can't afford to let our crop stand so we can take longer to drive it to market. You know, we need to get the crop to market as fast as we can so that Mother Nature doesn't play havoc with the crops we have standing left in the field.
The fourth-generation farmer says he'll have plenty of company as he uses an alternative route to deliver his crops to neighboring Lancaster County, since York County ranks first in the state in the production of corn and soybeans for grain.
A very high percentage of that grain moves into the Lancaster County markets. There are a tremendous amount of feed mills and markets for grain located in Lancaster County due to the high concentration of animals that they have there. We tend to grow the grain here and they tend to feed it over there.
Flinchbaugh says all Pennsylvanians should care about the transportation funding crisis. In fact, an unfortunate consequence of bridge restrictions is that many Pennsylvanians will experience increased truck traffic near their homes and workplaces from a wide variety of businesses.
Residents are going to have trucks driving down their road that they never had trucks driving down before, because people are trying to detour around a bridge they're now not allowed to go over. And their windows are going to be rattling, and the dust is going to be flying, the road's not going to be wide enough, and it's just going to be a fact that they have to deal with, because that is now the road that I'm legally allowed to drive on.
From an economic standpoint, PennDOT Secretary Barry Shoke says if Pennsylvania doesn't quickly deal with the transportation funding issue, the Commonwealth will lose out on new business opportunities to neighboring states.
If you're a business that's trying to choose to locate in Pennsylvania or locate in another state that's adequately funding its transportation system, if we're telling you it's going to cost you more to move your product around the state because we're not taking care of bridges, what kind of decision are you going to make? Other states, Virginia, Maryland, Ohio, neighboring states have passed comprehensive transportation funding packages. That's a commitment to their business community saying we're taking care of the infrastructure that supports you. If we don't make that same commitment, we know we're going to lose our economic competitiveness with those adjacent states.
Flinchbaugh says even though it will likely mean he'll have to pay more into the transportation system, he and the majority of farmers across the state support efforts to provide additional funding to PennDOT to improve road and bridge conditions.
If we don't spend any money or try to generate funds to fix what we have now, we're just going to keep adding to the number of bridges and adding to the number of roads. Then I'm not going to be able to take my trucks down the road. And we can't afford any more. We need to come up with a way to generate the funds and put those funds to use to fix up the system that we have now.
Farmers across Pennsylvania are deeply concerned about road and bridge conditions, and while they're not thrilled about paying higher taxes or fees to fund the transportation system, they understand that the time for action is now. Practically speaking, weight reductions on bridges may cost more in the long run, as farmers spend more on fuel costs to get the food to the market, and also because they're spending more time away from the home farm. Reporting from York County, I'm Mark O'Neill, Pennsylvania Farm Bureau News.